Before the first church, before the first family, and before the first marriage, God created another institution, time. In Genesis 1, God crafts containers of time out of timelessness. And you know how those first 7 days are all summarized with the same descriptive pattern. And there was evening, and there was morning the first day, and the second, and the third. Now, here's a question for you. Why is it that evening is mentioned first? Not just on the first day, but on all 7. Well, actually, for thousands of years, a lot of Jews have maintained that this is how we should be conceiving of time, that we should think of our days as starting around sunset, and then we go to sleep, and then we wake up around sunrise, which I guess is somewhere in the middle of the day, and then that day would conclude on the following sunset. Now, you might be thinking, what difference does it make? You know, if we have a string of nights and days long enough, what does it really matter which one we're thinking of as happening first? Isn't that kind of like a chicken and egg sort of situation? Well, I'd like to share with you 3 things about the evening first model of time, and then you can decide whether you think it constitutes a substantially different way of experiencing our existence. Originally, I planned a much longer opening for this video, but I'm glad I trimmed it down or else we would have missed the moment we came here for. It's about 8:15 right now, July 14, and the sun is sinking pretty low behind the mountains down there, but it's actually not quite sunset yet because in Jewish tradition, sunset is technically when you can see 3 stars in the sky. And right now I can only see one, really bright one, so for the moment, it's very much still July 14th, but the moment that second and third one come peeking out, it'll officially be July 15, at least according to the Jewish calendar. And this is a really weird way to begin a day because in our Western model of time, the morning first model, our days are never going to begin on a nice bench under the stars listening to the crickets. Instead, our days are usually going to begin with a chase. We wake up to something screaming at us, either electronic or organic, and there's the rush of all these ideas and that wave of juicy notifications to catch up on that accumulated while we were sleeping. Then there's the jolt of coffee and the rush to beat traffic because we gotta go, we gotta make money, carpe diem. But in the evening first model of time, our days don't usually begin that way. The carpe has already been diem'd, or the diem's already been carpe'd. Either way, our days aren't beginning with all of these ideas of seizing and capturing and conquering. So this is a Jewish house outside of New York City, and in a really rare move, they allowed a guy to come and film their evening Sabbath routine. You'll see here that the Jewish matriarch lights a candle, and then she covers her eyes and says a prayer, and when she opens her eyes, it's officially the new day. And the day's not starting with work, it's starting at the dinner table, right here with all the family and friends. You know, instead of waiting all day to earn the right to this togetherness, why don't we just start out with it? What if that was the thing we filled up together on instead of nitro cold brew? Okay, that's all getting way abstract, so I wanted to try actually doing this in real life and see what it would be like to actually think of time like this for a day. To think of the new day as starting right now. I don't know if you can see it, the contrast is a little weird, but that second and third star just popped into existence, so I'd like to try transitioning into the new day, July 15. So I think the key of getting this to work is going to be to have some sort of ritual to mark the passing. Like in that Jewish household, they have like a full hour of rituals before and after sunset to really make the new day feel concrete. But instead of appropriating those rituals, I think I'm just going to do my own thing here and close my eyes, stand on this leg, then stand on the other, turn around, and when I open them, happy July 15. So I'm trying to think, if I was just created and thrown into existence at this exact moment, what would it be like? What would change? And it's not like this evening just magically became a new one, but I will say, even subconsciously, the idea of this being the start of something makes me kind of not want to waste it. Makes me kind of want to not throw it away, you know? In like my regular routine, it's real easy for my evenings to turn into this time of like consumption and lounging. I'll also say it's really interesting to have to be awake and conscious for the passing of time. I think in our regular rhythm of life, even if we stay up past midnight, we don't really feel like a new day has started until we wake up. So the switch happens while we're asleep. And I think that kind of makes us in denial that time is even passing at all. Maybe every few months we'll look back and say, wow, time is really flying. But I think it would take a lot of bravery to do this and actually acknowledge time as it is passing rather than after a big chunk of it has already passed. Weird. I'm trying to think of what it would be like to do this for like a week or like a decade. So Lutheran theologian Gerhard von Rad writes, "Every night is in a sense a return to the chaos and darkness of the pre-creation, and every morning is a reenactment of the first creative work." So by choosing to see our days as starting in the evening, we're choosing to have every day of our lives be a tiny picture of the first day of creation. And it actually gets a lot bigger than that, because this pattern of night first and then morning is a part of just about every biblical narrative. You know, it's the plagues before the Exodus, it's the exile before redemption, and it's the burial before resurrection. However, our society has decided to assert its own idea of what time should be like that prioritizes mornings, not only because it's easy and feels natural, but because it makes us be productive and it helps us make a lot of money. However, I think we have to stop and decide whether those are the types of forces that we want to govern our time.